everybody. Drewski Sports here. My name is Drew. This is Jacob. Today, we're talking baseball. And with that, we are going to be talking about women in baseball and how they are on the uprise, but things still need to happen within the MLB and even within the fan base. So, first off, did I do something wrong? Was the response to being denied video training because a male coach was uncomfortable with her being in the locker room? Her being the now league operations manager for the MLB, then she was an intern. That is just kind of the tip of the iceberg and just one case throughout the MLB that has kind of been a major role in this. It's kind of why I'm bringing this up. And so, why does this happen? And it's because of the people who watch baseball and the people that run baseball.
Yeah, I think even when you give a woman an opportunity in sports, I think there's always going to be initial backlash, whether she has even done anything or hasn't done anything. It doesn't really matter. And I think that's just because of norms and normality. But as time goes on in the last couple of years, we've seen that change a lot as more women in baseball and sports in general have kind of just got an opportunity. And I do think as time continues to go on, it will become more and more of a normality until we have a more equal 50-50 as compared to now. It's probably in baseball, I would say maybe 90-10, 95-5 male to female ratio when coaching and athletic training and all that stuff.
Yeah, so there's a couple things based off of that. And so my reason for the why is there's two different people. There's people that watch and the people that actually run baseball. So the people that watch are, like we said, they're not really accepting women coming into this new change. It's a normality that men typically are in these male dominant roles. And one thing is, like, it's a case study's been done where once someone gets fired or moved on from a job, let's say they were a man, they are more than likely to be rehired as a male, because you've already shown that they are able to do that job. And so as a standpoint of watching baseball, we have fans and stuff like that. And someone like Jenny Carvnar, who is now the first woman to broadcast a Major League Baseball game for now it's for the Athletics. I remember when she first came in the league, I think last year, it was a lot of hate kind of around it already. She didn't even broadcast a game yet, and people were already on edge of how it's going to be. And every little mistake that is made is highlighted to the max. And so I don't know how you feel about that, but I saw that, and it's just not necessarily fair to them.
I mean, yeah, you said it best. Any mistake they made is just going to get pointed out and looked at 5 times more than a male just because she's a woman, which is extremely unfair. But like we've mentioned before, that's kind of just the normality at this time in 2025. So
yeah,
nothing you can really do about it.
And then going to the people on the inside of baseball, it is not really giving women the same chances. It's like we said earlier, if someone who was a male previous that had that job is more likely a male is going to be rehired for that job. It's just kind of the way that, like, it just naturally is when hiring people. I don't really know why. But for going back to Jenny Carvnar, there are 2 women particularly that I have pointed out that have paved paths for women in baseball, particularly Claire Smith and Susan Waldman. As Rich Coutinho says in Press Box Revolution, they are pioneers in breaking down those barriers and bringing much-needed diversity into the sports reporting world. Rich Coutinho was a longtime broadcaster for the New York Mets, and he watched as it was pretty much 100% male dominance into now Claire Smith and Susan Waldman's very many years ago kind of break down these barriers. And we see women like Kim Ning and Alyssa Nakan, as mentioned from Adler and Simon in their article, these women broke barriers. Kim Ning is a manager for the Miami Marlins, took over in 2020 or 2021. And then Alyssa Nakan originally started with San Francisco Giants as a coach, as she was the first women coach to be on the field, and then is now with the Mariners, I believe, doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think over time we'll see more of the women get more coaching roles. I know we've seen it. There's some in football right now, and there's a couple in basketball as assistants right now. But in the baseball world, I do think there's a lot less women coaching compared to other sports. And these two women, they're paving the change. They really are. They're taking the first step and really showing the way for other women all out there to get inspired and try and do the same thing. So I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we see this kind of change originally when Michelle Myers-Shipp, who is the chief people and culture officer for the MLB, when she took over in, I want to say 2019, somewhere around there. And quoted by Bill Ladson, she says, "We need to make sure that once we get women into sports, that we're doing everything we can to develop them, support them, and mentor them to help them elevate." Meaning, yeah, they might not be in a significant role once they first are hired into a position in the MLB. It could be within an organization or even just the MLB as a whole. But they want to make sure that we're not just hiring women just to hire women, that we are hiring them so that way we can have them for the future. We see them for the future having these big, significant jobs, like maybe even taking over for Mrs. Myers-Shipp or in other positions like that.
100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I do think they said it best here when he says that we have to mentor them and help them elevate. I like that a lot just because it really goes to show that, like, once we do hire these women, we want to do what we can and everything our power to make sure that they're getting the correct spotlight, the correct treatment, and there's just the correct guidance to get to higher points in their career and elevate, as he said.
Yeah, and so now moving kind of towards like the statistical side of this, I looked at the Tide's report card. They do gender and racial diversity. I focused on the gender side of it for the MLB. For around the last 20 years, they've sat around a C plus to a B minus, which it averages around 30% gender diversity. So not as like extreme as 90-10, but I was the one that kind of did the research on this one, and Jacob didn't. And so that's just kind of what you see on the outside. That was kind of like a raw take from the outside. Is it looks 95-5 or 90-10%, which really, again, is not a lot, and 30% isn't a lot either. We want it, like we said, we want it around 50-50, which is going to take a while. This doesn't look great, but looking back at the 2022, Tides implemented a new report card, which because the world is always changing, and they want to make sure that their grading scale is always top of the line and is up to date with how gender diversity is around today. But again, how I kind of take this as well is it might look bad, but people are staying in positions. Like Michelle Myers-Shipp says, like we're hiring people to have a future with the MLB, and so doesn't look great, but having people in these positions is showing us that they are still growing and elevating these women, or even, I know we're focusing on women, but even men, they are keeping them in their positions. They're not just firing them or hiring people to hire people.
And I mean, as we see, like 30% right now, not the greatest, but let's go back 10 years and that percentage is much, much lower. So, I mean, like Drew said, it is going to take time to get to the 50-50 mark. We can't have it happen like this. That's just not how it works. But just with the way that it's trending going upwards, in due time, we will eventually hit that 50-50 mark.
Yeah. So I have like a solution. And I think one solution is kind of already in place, and it's not just wanting to hire women to hire women. Mm-hmm. We're wanting women to succeed in sports. MLB was kind of what I focused on, but I think that's already in place. I think Michelle Myers-Shipp is doing an amazing job so far. We are seeing women being hired at higher pace and have these significant roles. It looks really good. I think that is in place, but I think something that's not in place is really with the fan base, and that is just having trust in these women. And they're obviously hired to do the right thing. They're hired for a reason. They're the best candidate, and I think it's going well so far. Don't be so quick to judge. And also, I also think we're kind of scared of getting rid of the norms that have been around for so long.
Yeah, and I mean that's pretty common though. Like, norms are norms for a reason. They're the normality. So obviously breaking out of something that is a normality is going to be hard. But when we look at the solution and saying not being hired to be hired, I couldn't agree more. Let's hire people, because if we hire, for example, let's say we hire a woman over a man, even though the man was more qualified and the woman doesn't do a good job, the amount of backlash she's going to get for that is going to be 15 to 20 times worse than the man. So I think hiring women that are suitable for the job is definitely the best move, because then we can elevate them and get them to new heights. And then when trusting them, I 100% agree. I think the MLB fan base just has to be more trusting in general and not so quick to judge. There's no need to absolutely destroy someone on Twitter for one bad call. It's never that deep, especially a woman that's going to get it called out 10 times more than a male.
Right. Yeah. I remember when she first like entered in, and there was a couple of calls where I even said, I was like, maybe that's a little like kind of like out there with what she's trying to say, but she's trying to make a name for herself, which is great for her. But I don't remember seeing any bad calls from any men there in the booth.
Yeah, no, it's like when there's a man in the booth here and a woman in the booth here, if the man says the same thing as the woman says, it's going to get pointed out by the woman simply more because she's a woman and it's not a normality for her to be in the booth.
So our answer to it is just give it time, and we're going to start seeing results, especially with people who are always going to be on air like Jenny Carvenar. You can't really see it so much on the field, maybe with like how a team performs and stuff like that, but more of like making sure you see them every day with Jenny Carvenar. She's on air every day. She's calling every single A's game. Good for her. Give it time. You're going to see results. You're going to start seeing more and more women come into the league and do so many amazing things for the MLB and all sports around. So with that, thank you, Jacob, for being on.
100%.
That is kind of my take on women in the MLB. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you.